I'm good to go.
Oh, I hate when this fucking thing pops up. All right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Hoops All In podcast. I'm your host, Warlands Francois, Kane Legacy, Kyle Anthony. We are here for another discussion of hoops. It is in the greatest, possibly, Eastern Conference playoffs going on right now. Golden State Warriors, most likely they're going to win the whole damn thing. And the Dallas Mavericks, at the time of this recording, Golden State has a commanding 3-0 series lead over Dallas and is looking to make their sixth trip to the NBA Finals in 8 years. So I want to ask you guys this. First of all, what is your reaction to Golden State most likely making the playoffs? I say most likely it's going to happen. They're not blowing the 3-1 lead. And two, making the finals, excuse me. Yeah, making the finals, excuse me. And two, is Golden State's dynasty back to life, or is this their last hurrah? What do you guys think? Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, guy. I know you.
Anyone could go. Like, just go.
I don't think this is any kind of. I think it's ridiculous to be talking about. This is like a curtain call for them, something like that. I mean, they, for some reason, the mindset, the popular mindset is if you're over 30, you're over the hill in the NBA. And if you actually have some significant success past 33, then you're an outlier. You know what I mean? It's all about, they keep themselves in tremendous shape. They have that championship pedigree, so to speak, and they, there's plenty of accounts of players who, even if they don't have if they lose a step, if they're a step slower because of age or whatever reason, they can still have that cerebral game that can still help a team win. But, we're talking about Thompson, Curry, and Green being, they're, even if they were to start stepping towards the background and pushing forward, the younger players that are coming off the bench, the younger players they're still set, and it's a perfect time now for their players like Poole and and the like that are learning from them and getting this experience relatively earlier in their career. It's perfect time, and I think they're going to be set for a while, especially as long as Steve Kerr is the coach, who is like fast becoming the younger Greg Popovich, as far as I'm concerned. And I don't think it's sacrilegious to say, because I absolutely love Greg Popovich, and I think he's an NBA coach god, but just in so many different respects. But I'm just saying Steve Kerr is definitely on that fast track, and I think the Golden State Warriors are set up for a long time, as far as I'm concerned.
I have to agree. I mean, I don't know. Like, so, whereas the way it was, the question is this their last hurrah, or?
Yeah, so your reaction to Golden State having a commanding 3-0 series lead and most likely going to the NBA Finals for the sixth time in the last 8 years. What are your reaction to that? And is their dynasty back to life, or is this like their last big hurrah, especially how gutted the West is going to be come next year?
Okay. So the 3-0 lead against Dallas, that's not a surprise to me personally. I mean, the Warriors are as like the Bulls dynasty, you know what I mean? Like, they just separate themselves out there. You know what I mean? Like, that's really not a surprise. I don't think anybody's surprised that they're going to take Dallas down. Maybe 3-0. Maybe I would have gave Dallas one game, but I don't. Did anybody really think it was going to be a challenging series for them? I mean, but then again, I could be wrong, because I thought Phoenix was going to beat Dallas. So, hey, as far as them being, I mean, obviously I think they're a dynasty. And whether that ends this year or not, I don't have that, an insight to say that it's going to end this year. I think that, it lasts as long as it lasts. I mean, these things are cyclical. We were talking before the show about how A lot of athletes have a good 10, 15 years, you know what I mean, the run, but there's all kind of moves to be made. Steve Kerr's still going to be there, and I think he's excellent. You know what I mean? So I mean, I don't know. I don't think that it's coming to an end anytime soon. Within the next 2-3 years, I just don't see that.
I agree.
I guess it depends on what you mean by soon, but you know, they're gonna be one of the best teams in the league for at least the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. I'm gonna start with my reactions first. So no surprise that they're going to make that. No, I'm just gonna assume that they are going to be in the NBA Finals, even though at the time of this recording they're up 3-0. But we got a fast track to the future. They will be in the NBA Finals again, so I'm not surprised there. In terms of how they battled against the Dallas Mavericks in the conference finals, I'm not surprised either. I mean, Golden State was the better, superior team. They were more deep, top to bottom. They play more guys. And if you look at Dallas's standpoint of view, they're playing 1-on-5. You know, I was watching these sports shows. People say, well, Luka needs to trust his teammates more. He needs to pass. He needs to do this. Luka really doesn't have any help. I mean, he's pretty much playing 1-on-5. Outside of Jalen Brunson, what other scoring option does he have?
So Spencer Dinwiddie.
Okay, let me get to that point. So Luka is 2-6 when he scores 40 or more points in a playoff game. That's according to StatMuse. But as I said, he has no other scoring options. You talked about Spencer Dinwiddie, right? Spencer Dinwiddie had 4 points in game 2. He showed up in game 3 at 26, but he's been abysmal for the most part this series. You talk about Reggie Bullock, gave you a big 0. He was 0 of 10 in game 3. You got no points. I'm like, dude, you playing 28, 30 minutes and you score 0 points. Talk about Kleber too, 3 points in game 2, 0 points in game 3, and 25 minutes of play. So Luka's like, hold on. I'm giving Reggie Bullock, I'm passing him the ball 10 times. Like, yo, you wide open, shoot the shot, and you just brick, clank, clank, clank. He sounded like Russell Westbrook out there. I mean, bro, you're not making nothing.
Speaking from a Knicks fan point of view, that sounds very familiar.
Yeah, but you know,
we had him last season.
It's just
I
like
Reggie
hold on.
Bullock.
And I'm just like, hold on. I'm not gonna keep passing you guys the ball if y'all ain't making no shots. So that means I got to go 1-on-1 because I'm the only reliable scoring option outside of me and Brunson. So I don't blame him. But look at Dallas this series. Like, again, they had 3 players in double figures in game 3. They had, compared to Golden State, 5 players in double figures in game 3. Game 2, Dallas had 4 players in double figures. Golden State had 6 players in double figures. Game 1, Dallas had 4 players in double figures in scoring. Golden State had 8 players in double figures in scoring. So you see the kind of repetitive here. Golden State has more scoring options and how they distribute the basketball because a lot of those guys are able to put the ball in the hoop. Wiggins, Poole, Thompson, Draymond could get it going time to time. We talked about Wiggins and obviously Steph. Compared to, outside of Luka and Brunson, who else is going to be that consistent 20-point scorer? Golden State has legit 4 or 5 20-point scorers compared to Dallas, who's has 2 that you could trust.
And it's been that way for a while. It's been that way before. It was that way before they got Wiggins. It's been that way like in their earlier days of this core being together because of how they play together, that they have multiple playmakers on the teams and because they can all score if they have to. And now they're one of the top defensive teams in the league. So, you know, which is something that no one ever really, I would guess with all the offense that they've been known to have, no one ever really thought of them as a defensive team until, you know, this past full season, regular season. So, you know, it only catches people by surprise when they just haven't been paying attention, which is kind of ridiculous.
I got a question for both of you guys, actually. Like, you know, like as somebody who plays ball myself, but I don't play organized ball, right? I feel like both of you said the word reliable, which is what happened to Phoenix. Like, you know, our stars in Phoenix just weren't reliable down the stretch. What's that X factor? Like, what causes that? Is that a coaching thing or whatever? Because I know when I go out to play ball, I'll have an amazing game where it feels like I can't lose. You know, I can't miss a shot. And then other days I couldn't hit, you know what I mean, the side of a barn with a basketball. So it's like, what is that X factor? What causes these guys to be reliable? Is that coaching? Is that just how they're wired on the inside? Because I feel like Kevin Durant was more reliable in Golden State than he was in Brooklyn. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like, what is that?
just from a personal opinion, I feel like the X factor is made up of smaller parts, and it's a lot of the things that you mentioned. Sometimes it is coaching, and it's plays coming up, in game plays being called. Sometimes it is the motivation. Sometimes, and professional athletes really shouldn't need motivation to play in a big game. But sometimes it's just, you just don't have it going. Sometimes it's just a mental thing. No matter how on point you are, how prolific a scorer or defender that you are. But I just think that X factor is made up of more than one thing. I don't see that it can point to any, because it varies from player to player, team to team, and game to game. It's like, well, why does this team have like a Jekyll and Hyde mentality, or why is all of a sudden, so that's what I think.
I think it comes down to like coaching has to do a part of it, because you mentioned, well, you shouldn't be motivated to play in a big game, whether it's a championship game or a game to get to the championship round, like the finals. But also, if you're missing shots and you've been in a funk lately, that coach got to give you that inspiration to get you going. So the coach plays a small factor into that. I also think it has to attribute to player development and organization that you're with. You look at Golden State. They turned Wiggins into an all-star this year. They turned Jordan Poole into a max guy. He's going to get a lot of money in the all season. Kevon Looney, he's going to get a lot of money in the all season, getting all those rebounds that he's been getting the past few games in the postseason. So it just in terms to player development, would you see the greater strength of a player who has potential to maximize that strength and to work on his area. So if he's not good at shooting, perhaps you get him to a level that's average. So if it's in the fourth quarter, he's not like a Rudy Gobert. We got to sub him out. You know what I'm saying? So it has to be player development, coaching to a certain degree, to a very, very small degree of player development. And at the end of the day, it's like mindset. I just think you draft right players, you fit them into a system that they buy in, you'll have success like Golden State is having right now.
But just to Kane's point, sorry, but I'm gonna cut you off.
No, go ahead, because you might be hitting my point.
Because it's really, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think what you were trying to get at is what could make a player one game or two games or three games, whatever, be the alpha male and get everything right and carry the team if he has to. And then another game, it might be just a matter of, the lights went off and and where did they go? Is that what you're pretty much
reliability? Yeah, the point being reliability.
Consistency.
Right? I do want to hear what Worlds. I really want to hear what Worlds has to say.
Okay, so now maybe you could possibly say, if we're talking about the terms of the playoffs, where now the Eastern Conference games is every other night, could fatigue play a factor? Because you're going out there, you're playing close to 40 minutes a night. You got to go into the ice tub. You're sore. Okay. It's like, okay, now
which is something I wanted to.
That was the one
thing I meant to bring up.
But
now you're practicing the next day, and it's just like, all right, your arms are a little tired, and you may not have the shot going. So fatigue and soreness does play a factor.
So fatigue. All right. So then genetics would help with that, because Kobe, MJ, Kerry, I mean, the names of the superstars, what do they have in common? They're the same, like it seems to me they're the same level of reliability, no matter what mindset they're in, no matter how their bodies feel. And I'm just trying to figure out what that X factor is. And I mean, this may
psychological,
not be,
psychological, because fatigue can be mental as well as physical, obviously. And sometimes you just don't have it. Something that is like so commonplace and so routine to you, and it becomes muscle memory. Some days it's just still, I just can't get it going. And I think that's what it is in some cases, and it just goes to show that they're human. That's all. We look at them, they're superstars and they're Iron Man, so to speak. But at the end of the day, some days you just don't have it.
I just I'm somebody who looks, as you guys know, I take it seriously. The idea of being like having your role being the guy that shows up, you know what I mean? Like no matter how you feel, you show up, you know what I mean? So I'm just wondering what makes a star a star. What makes is it the reliability, is the ability, I'm not even just asking it, like I'm just wondering what you guys really think on it.
Practice.
So just development, I guess, kind of go back to what I said, development. Like you could be available, but if you're not producing, then what good is your availability if you're not doing anything? You know what I'm saying? If you like, okay, we see like, all right, you're good at this game. We're gonna maximize this part of your game so you could be effective. And then,
Mm.
all right, we see that you're not so good at this game. We're gonna help you do that. But at the end of the day, it has to become the player's initiative to recognize, okay, this is the stuff that I need to work on and I'm not good at. A la Ben Simmons, he came into the league, what, 2015, 2016, hasn't added a jump shot in what, 5, 6, 7 plus years. And you're like, dude,
Mm.
you've been in the league for that long. You're making about $30 million a year. You have not added nothing to improve your game. Jason Tatum came into the league. You looked at how great he got from his rookie year to his year right now, exponentially better. Now people call him top 10 player because of what he did to Kevin Durant in the first round series and knocking down the defending champions in Giannis. You look at Devin Booker, he's got tremendously better. Look at everybody who was a lottery pick. Lonzo Ball even got tremendously better, adding a jump shot, playing defense, put some muscle weight. It all goes to like, okay, you see you're not the best player. There's work that you have to do to get to a certain level of greatness if you want to be remembered as one of those great players. You got to put in the work. The coaches will more like, well, they have no problem helping you out, but you got to recognize, hey, this is the things I'm not good at. I need a coach to come me with a gym, do some drills, blah, 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 so I could get into that upper epsilon of greatness. Like LeBron James, Kevin Durant, all those great, Steph Curry, every single year, there's like, listen, I'm at my apex, but if I could get 1/10 or 0.5% better than I was the previous season, they're gonna do it. That's what it is.
So it is like Kyle said, and what you're saying, it's psychology. They have more of a why. They like because the guys you were talking about, like Ben Simmons, certain guys, I feel like they get into the league, their biggest why was the money. So once they cash out
and become complacent.
Yeah. You know what I mean? But these other guys, it's a psychological thing with them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's not just the money. You know, it's something where it's like, I need to get just that fraction of an inch better than I was last game. You know, and they compete with themselves. All right. Okay. Oh, thank you guys. I appreciate that. I just wanted to know, like, you know.
Yeah, no, of course, no doubt. Okay, so what do we think about Golden State's dynasty? Is it back or is it their last hurrah before we go on?
Didn't we carry that? Didn't we already answer that?
You both.
Yeah.
Oh, you got.
Yeah,
well, I didn't
back.
answer, so I wanted to hear. So you said yeah. Both of you guys said yes.
I'd say it's back. Yeah. I didn't know it went away, honestly.
Oh, well, I mean, when they didn't make the playoffs the last 2 years, it was starting to question. I can agree with that too. Only thing is just the West is going to be so gutted. I don't know. And there's been questions about can they be able to keep Wiggins because he's going to be making. I think he's due for an extension. He has a contract expiring after next year. They're gonna sign Poole to a big extension, and they want to keep Kevon Looney. So Steph is already making like 40 million plus. They got Clay for another couple of years, Draymond for a couple more years. So that's a lot of salary cap to keep. So
when you're saying the West is going to be gutted,
I mean, deep. It's going to be very deep.
Okay,
it's going to be deep.
Gutted means it's going to
that's
be
why I mean,
decimated.
No. I use the word gutted as like, okay, it's going to be a gauntlet. Every you look at 1 through 8.
Well, you
at least 6 of those.
That's not how we usually use the word gutted.
Well,
when you gut something, you're like you're decimating it.
So the West is going to be super deep.
It's going to be hell. 1 to 6 is going to be like 1 through 6 could legitimately say next year when they're all healthy could win a championship.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that.
That's the excitement of sports.
Yeah, some competition back.
Yeah. The dynasty being they're always going to make it deep into the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For the next few years at least, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Yep. So we all saw the incredible poster from Andrew Wiggins over Luka Doncic. It was trending on social media. It probably still trending on social media at the time of this recording, man. Just baptized Luka. They call him Baby Bird. He was a flat bird after that dunk. But I wanted to ask you guys, what was your reactions to Andrew Wiggins' dunk? And do you think it was a top 5 playoff dunk? Who wants to go first?
I mean,
anybody could go. TikTok.
Hey, man, like, I don't. You're coming to the wrong guy looking for sympathy for Luka. Like, whatever. You know how I feel about the whole Phoenix thing at this point. So anytime he can get embarrassed,
it's personal
and posterized. Well, yes, it is. You know, he can get embarrassed and posterized. You know, I'm okay with that. You know, and I like Wiggins. So yeah, I'll buy the poster.
I'm just glad that they didn't call it an offensive foul, didn't call a foul on the play either way, defensive or offensive, because it was just a good in-game dunk, nice and clean, exciting. And no bias or anything. Everybody knows I'm a Warriors fan, but it was exciting to watch, and even Luka gave him props for it. So what can be said as far as whether or not it's the best one of the postseason? I honestly can't recall any others right now that I think were the most that really left an impact for me, and the others I probably haven't seen, so I can't compare it to others.
I definitely agree with you. I'm happy that they changed that rule from an offensive foul to just the bucket counts. Whenever that punk becomes a poster, I'm definitely got to hang it up somewhere in my room, because that was just nasty on like every word. But I'll probably say, definitely. I mean, talk about it. He fell too, and Luka tried to sold it like he got hit in the face.
Yeah,
he was like,
nah.
Like,
when you can't complain about it, you got to show it.
Exactly. So, but I'll probably say right now, the recent memory, maybe it has been top 10. I'm thinking off the ones off the top of my head. You got Paul George on Birdman, Chris Anderson. That was like 2013 playoffs.
Oh wait, are we talking about this year's postseason? Or are we talking about of all time?
Oh no! I was thinking of all time. I mean, I haven't.
Oh my God! There's so many. There's no way I can remember.
You don't think that? No, but
Vince Carter used to do that on a regular basis.
But recent memory,
for Frederick Weiss in the Olympics. I mean, remember that?
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, the NBA,
and that was a Knicks draft pick. I think he sent him back to France. He didn't even get to play for the Knicks.
Oh, of course, you would find a way to mention the Knicks into this.
Well, it's true. Well, I'm not giving them props for drafting that guy. So yeah, why not?
I mean, Vince Carter used to jump over people. Like,
there's way too many dunks for me to think about to compare the.
Okay, so recent memory, like top past 5 years, 10 years.
Giannis had some.
Oh yeah, Giannis had some bangers.
Yeah. I'd buy that poster too. So.
Warriors. Brandon Davis on AK-47, the We Believe team. That got the crowd.
Baron Davis.
Yeah. Baron. Yeah.
Baron.
I'm like, wait a minute, Brandon Davis. Who's that one?
No, Baron.
yeah. That was good. That was when he got teed up for lifting his jersey too.
Oh, now he get thrown out if he does that.
Yeah, Brendan is the guy that asked to speak to the manager at the restaurant. He's usually with Karen.
Hey yo.
Oh.
All right, where else take it?
All right. So with Golden State making the NBA Finals again, outside on the Eastern Conference side of things between the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics, which team out of those two will give Golden State a better fight in the NBA Finals? Boston Celtics or Miami Heat? What do you guys think?
I think the Celtics and the Heat are kind of clones of each other, but I made that point in our last show. You know what I mean? Like, I think that honestly, if I had to pick, the Celtics, but I think they both have a lot of the same attributes. You know what I mean? Like, Jimmy Butler is Jason Tatum, and you know what I mean? Like, Jaylen Brown is what's his name? Pretty boy there.
Tyler Hero.
Yeah, Tyler Hero. Exactly what I was talking about. You know what I mean? Like, they have a lot of the same team chemistry going on, but I think the edge goes to Boston for coaching.
Wow. So you give Boston the edge for coaching purposes? So you're picking
coaching, chemistry.
You're talking. So you're picking Udoka over Spoelstra in that regard.
No, I guess you're right. No, that's a bad choice. All right, maybe, yeah, maybe. Let me walk that coaching back to chemistry. Okay. Let's say chemistry instead of coaching. How about that? Yeah, because any team with Jimmy Butler on it, you got to worry about chemistry. So no, coaching. You're right.
Well, I think Jimmy Butler. I don't want to get too far off topic and everything, but I think Jimmy Butler's really found his way in Miami. Like, you haven't heard those rumors that were coming about, like he just drives people crazy and insane and wants to challenge everybody and fight everybody in practice, like was happening supposedly in Minnesota and maybe even to an extent Philly. But
I think Rachel calmed his ass down in the bubble is what happened.
Oh my God. No, you didn't go there, Kane.
Yes, I did. Come on, he gonna say he hit that.
Okay. Well, anyway, can I respond to the choice between?
I'm sorry, man. Go ahead.
Only thing I know that came out of the bubble besides for Jimmy Butler, besides anything you might be implying, is Big Face Coffee. So, he's got a good coffee brand now, a successful coffee brand that was born in the bubble. Let's keep it with that. Okay. But I will say that
Jesus Christ,
Kyle, you worse than me. You just sneak in.
but I would say, you know what? I think that
oh my
health
God.
is always a factor, and as of the time of this recording, you know, we're looking at, you know, Hero had some issues with his quad, I think, and Jimmy Butler had some knee inflammation, and you know, but I kind of feel like to your point, Kane, yeah, they are very, very much alike. But I think that Bam Adebayo has to play like he did in Game 3 in order to really give the Heat that edge. If he doesn't play like that all the time, then they might have a problem. You know, because I kind of think Kyle Lowry has become a non-factor really to an extent. So you're really looking at Butler, Adebayo, and Hero, you know, and those important X factor other guys, quote unquote, like Strus, and on the other side you got Williams, you know, in Boston, you know, I mean Horford. So, you know, I would give the slight edge to Boston unless Bam can. What did he do in the last game? 31-10 with 6 assists and four steals. You know, when is the last time he played like that? So, and they only won by. What did they win by? I don't even remember the spread, but you know,
Game 3.
Yeah. So, you know, hey, I give Boston a slight edge.
Yeah.
But I think
I agree.
I think Golden State would take either one of them out.
I agree.
So,
But like I said, before World starts, I just want to make sure I'm on record, not coaching chemistry, because
Chemistry.
I pointed out the error of my ways there. But in terms of chemistry, yeah, Celtics.
Oh God, that comment you made about Jimmy Butler, the bubble.
and here we go again.
I'm not saying it, but it was hilarious. Yeah,
And
my
we're
Lord.
back.
You know, Kane have no filter. I didn't know. Never mind. Okay.
You knew. Everybody knew.
Oh,
Rachel
Jesus. I need confirmation on that. But
Knows now.
Rachel knew.
She knows now. Anyway,
we need confirmation on that.
Oh man. Well,
No, we don't.
Yeah,
we don't.
We do. We do. Video proof.
Coffee.
Oh Lord.
Anyway,
What's in the coffee?
See, it's just that I'm outspoken. He's just sneakier than me, man. That's all it is. He's bad.
so anyway, yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. Oh yeah. Boston, Miami. I would have to go with the Miami Heat since both of you guys picked Boston. I'll play a little devil advocates here, but here's why I'm picking Miami. I think that they're just a little bit deeper than the Celtics. Celtics play about 7-8 guys. Miami could play legitimate 9 to 10 guys. That's one. So they're deeper. They have more bodies that they could defend against Golden State's forwards. Jimmy Butler can match up against Klay Thompson or Wiggins. You have Victor Oladipo can match up maybe against Steph Curry. They have what? I'm talking about guarding, obviously. But okay, so you trust Boston. You trust Boston players who are injured. Marcus Smart's not even playing in Game 4. Jason Tatum has a stinger in his damn neck. You trust those guys, those wobbled, injured guys to guard against Golden State? Really?
Is Smart going to be back by the finals if they make it?
He's not playing. I don't think they're gonna make the finals. But he's not playing. He hasn't played the last. He played.
Oh, you don't think the Celtics
game?
are going to beat the Heat?
Yeah, he played in Game 3, didn't he?
He played in Game 3, but he's out right now in Game 4. And he's questionable for Game 5. Jason Tatum has a stinger in his neck. Rob Williams, he's in and out of the lineup because of the knee troubles. So it's like, so now you guys still laughing at me now? You got to.
If Marcus Smart is back for the finals, he's going to get very more trouble than Come on. Then the Heat. You know what I mean? I can't. That one I don't agree with. Like, I just don't think the Heat can stop Stephen Curry defensively.
Nobody could stop Steph Curry defensively.
True.
Nobody
But
can stop.
all right. I mean, your question was who's going to give him more of a.
Yeah, I said who
hard
give them
time.
more problems. I feel like it's
Yeah.
Miami because they're deeper, especially at their wing position.
Hmm.
Butler, you got Oladipo, Kyle Lowry. If Kyle Lowry, again, I don't know what's wrong with his hammy. He's in and out. If they could get some type of resemblance from Kyle Lowry in 2019, he would be able to give Steph Curry a little bit of trouble. And they have PJ Tucker as well too. PJ Tucker, he's going to guard what? Maybe Clay, maybe Steph. They'll put him on Steph from time to time. So they have more forwards and guards that they could match up against Golden State compared to Boston, who's hobbled and waddled right now. If they were all healthy, I'll probably go with Boston. But I mean, you don't know if Marcus Smart, if his knee's gonna flare up again, he's gonna have a messed up ankle. Tatum, Stinger, Brown doesn't look right. So they got a lot of question marks health wise in Boston. They're a better coach team, but I feel like better overall matchup wise, Miami makes the most sense.
I mean, all right, I would agree, but the only reason I can still disagree after that is because Miami's, again, we go back to the chemistry thing. Like, that's a what? How long has Butler been in Miami? 2 years?
No, about 3. Almost
3 years
3 now, and because he just signed a new max with them, last season.
So 3 years, like with that lineup, give or take, right? But the Celtics, that core lineup's been together for a minute. You know what I mean? They have gone up against these powerhouses and won't get there. I mean, Wiggins throws on a slam like that. You know what I mean? That's gonna snatch Miami's soul.
Right, yeah,
you know what I mean?
soul, yeah.
Yeah, it's like they're not battle tested at this level. Whereas the Celtics are. And that's kind of like that goes to the point I was making before. You know what I mean? But then again, experience counted. Phoenix would still be in it, so I don't know.
Well, Miami's main group has been, if you talk about their core pieces, they're building around mainly Butler and Adebayo. They've been together since Butler's been there, and whatever you want to make the jokes about the bubble, they did make it to an NBA Finals, and we're 2 games away, so we can't disrespect the Heat. I'm just looking at depth wise, Adebayo and Butler are the franchise. They've been together for 3-4 years. Victor Oladipo, he could give you maybe 10, 15 a night. He's not the Oladipo of old, but he's still very, very capable.
Victor hasn't played in like 5 years.
He's playing right now. What are you
I know
about?
He's playing right now, but before this, he was like, him.
Yeah, that's it.
The guy that has the album out on SoundCloud. Yeah,
I mean, he said the album out on SoundCloud. I mean, look at what happened. Look what he did in last series against Philly. If he's capable of giving you 10, 15 a night, easily. Go look at the last
points or
series.
tracks.
Points.
10, 15 tracks a night.
He said 15 tracks.
No, listen, no, I mean, I'm not. I am making fun, but no, he is a good singer. But no, I am making fun, but he's a good singer. He's a good singer.
He's good.
Yeah, he can't sing.
He's a
Tyler
better
Hero
singer.
has some tracks out on SoundCloud too.
Does he really?
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
No
He probably has a
Yes, he
Spotify.
does.
No wonder.
Gotta check him out.
I knew
Well,
it.
all right,
I knew on draft night this guy was going to be a celebrity, one way or another.
How the hell you know that?
Because you
Pretty
can tell
boy.
from what he was at draft night.
Yeah.
Did you watch that draft?
Yeah, I watched that draft, but I'm not telling. I mean,
I can
there's-
tell.
That's why I call him Pretty Boy from the draft night. That's
He called him
exactly
Pretty
why.
Boy. No, I thought you called Tyler Hero Pretty Boy.
I thought we were talking about Tyler Hero.
No, he talk about Oladipo.
Oladipo. No, I'm talking about
Tyler
Tyler
Hero,
Hero on draft night. I could tell.
Hold
he
on,
was
how
going
we
to
changed
be
from
Yeah.
Oladipo
a
to sing to all of a
celebrity.
sudden Tyler Hero?
Because Tyler Hero has SoundCloud tracks too.
And I did
Oh
not know
yeah,
that.
he does. Yeah, he does. Yeah, Jack Harlow made a song about him. There you go. He did.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
He did.
Tyler Hero. Yes, he did. Yeah.
He did.
All right, good.
So there you go. See, you
He's
learn.
well connected.
See,
in my
Kyle didn't know
industry.
that. We just taught Kyle something new today. He didn't know that. Look at his face.
Well,
he was like,
you
"Oh, I
get
don't know."
one. You get one. So
One a night.
no, one a year. But anyway, I have to go out and download
man.
this stuff.
Yeah, then we can come back and talk about whose tracks are better.
Yeah, who's a
Yeah.
better singer in the NBA?
Dame
They're
Lillard.
both better than Roy Jones.
Singer,
Remember
not
that?
rapper.
Roy Jones Jr.
No.
Oh my god.
Roy Jones.
By the head.
Roy Jones. Oh Lord.
Right.
All right. What's next up?
All right. If you guys don't know, JJ Redick, and we had, I believe his name is Mad Dog, Chris Russo, Mad Dog. They were on First Take, just happened a couple weeks ago, and JJ Redick's comments went viral after he was talking about Bob Cousy, saying Bob Cousy had 26 assists in one game, and pretty much saying Chris Paul is not a top 5 point guard of all time in the history of the game. And they went back and forth, and pretty much JJ Redick said, well, Bob Cousy is pretty much being guarded by plumbers and firemen. So Bob Cousy was on a radio show in Boston, and he replied back. I'm just going to read his comments as quick as possible, pretty much saying, well, people with less talent, he's referring to JJ Redick, people with less talent will always try to make a name for themselves by criticizing other people and hopefully getting some attention and perhaps increasing their credibility. He also went on to say, so when you respond to something like this, you play into their hands. I won't do that. I will defend the firemen and plumbers that he referenced to. And I'll just give you a few of the names of these firemen that I play with against during these years. How about Bill Russell? Who was really good. Not too bad of a player. Wilt Chamberlain, remember that guy? He wasn't too bad. I guess he must have fought fire as well too. But any event, Wilt Chamberlain, still the best in my judgment, small forward that ever played the game. A guy named Elgin Baylor, rest in peace, God rest his soul. A couple of point guards that weren't too shabby. My colleague who also had an award in his name, Oscar Robertson, who pound for pound the best player perhaps in the game. Jerry West wasn't too shabby. The guys on our team, Sam, KC, Jones, a guy named Hondo Havlik wasn't too bad. Just to name a few, George Mike and Bob Pettit, blah, blah. He's like, I could go on and on. We must have the best firemen and plumbers on the planet at the time. And I was very proud to play with all of them. So my question to you guys after hearing Bob Cousy's comments to JJ Redick, one, was he right or wrong for retaliating in this way? And two, why do players, it seems like of different generation, disrespect players of past generations?
I think Bob Cousy was definitely not wrong in clapping back and saying something. I mean, you know, I'm kind of surprised and disappointed in JJ Redick. I thought he was a little more astute about basketball history than that ignorant comment showed. And maybe it's taking out comment. I didn't hear the original broadcast. I just see his words and that have been taken, you know, and printed over and over again since then, since it's gone viral. But you know, you're talking about, and we talk about this all the time when everybody gets in these conversations about, oh, if you played this, you know, match this person up from the 60s with this player of today, this person would be a clear, you know, listen, the rules of it and the fundamentals of the game always stay the same, but skill sets have evolved to the point where, you know, big men are not just planted in the paint and they're not just slow and prodding, and you know, everybody is becomes a playmaker. Everybody can, you know, handle the ball big, you know, no matter what your size is. For the competition that Bob Cousy had in the early 60s and so forth, yes, and the other players that were there, Hall of Famers came out of that era, just like they're going to come out of this era, and they're all well deserved for what they did at that time. You know what I mean? To degrade and disrespect the people that Bob Cousy played against and played with is absurd, just because you weren't there or you're not knowledgeable enough to have seen the footage or done your homework before you turned your mic on. I just think it's disrespectful and it's uncalled for. And you know, bravo to Bob Cousy. You know, 96 talking, you know, clapping back. I appreciate that.
I mean, it ain't no different than like what goes on in hip hop. You got these new, you know, these cats out now. I rock with them. You know, I'm a DJ. I play all the newest stuff, but you can't really put these cats in the same conversation as Big, Jay-Z, Nas. You know what I mean? Like, and they resent that. You know what I mean? They get sick of hearing about what came before them, and they want to be like, no, I'm the best in the game now. But it's like, you don't decide that, the market decides that. You know what I mean? And like, you can't come out and be a hot new rapper now or ball player now and just all of a sudden, oh, I'm the best. You know,
Or forget who came, forget who
before,
preceded you.
But they don't want to remember who preceded them because it sets the bar. You know what I mean? And when they're doing that, they're like, well, I got to keep hearing about Michael Jordan. I got to keep. I mean, how far down the rabbit hole you want to go? Like you can't talk about being the best. You got to actually be the best. You know what I mean? And that was Kobe understood that. You know what I mean? Like, and if the new cats want to take that crown, they got to do that work. You know, it's that simple, man. That rule is not going to change. I don't care what sport, what entertainment genre. You want the crown, you have to work hard. Then as hard at least as the person who had it before you.
But give props to the people who were there before you anyway.
Of course.
Who achieved their greatness and got their flowers.
Of course.
Because they deserve it. They worked hard too.
Of course. And plus, competing posthumously makes no sense anyway.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like Mike, you never heard Mike Tyson come out talking about he was good. I would have beat Muhammad Ali in his prime. Like, he would have never said something.
There's no time machines, buddies.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so the whole thing is stupid. But like I said, you want to be the best ever to do something, the market decides that you don't anyway. You know?
Well, just going back to what Kyle said about his comments, pretty much they were talking about where does Chris Paul rank in terms of, I believe it was all-time point guards, and then he had like Magic, Bob Cousy, and pretty much just saying he doesn't think that Chris Paul is a top 5 point guard. So that's when JJ Redick was like, oh, well, name it a time where he had 26 assists in a game, and then JJ was like, oh, that's because he was being guarded by plumbers and firemen. I'm just paraphrasing. There's more to that, but that's paraphrase the main summary of their back and forth confrontation on First Take. In my opinion, it's like a generational problem that will never be fixed. You talk about players who played in maybe the early 2000s, like a Shaq, T-Mac, those guys who are on television now. How many times do you see them commentating and saying, well, today's NBA is soft? Well, okay, but you're right, it's a soft, but that's not the player's fault. That's the NBA's fault, management. They're the ones who put these rules in place because they wanted more fast-paced action. They're the ones who said, hey, you can't hand check anymore. That's an automatic foul. They're the ones who put in all these, flagrant 1, flagrant 2 reviews. Obviously, you don't want nobody to get hurt, but they're acting like the players are the one who put these rules in place to quote unquote make the league soft. But I'll tell you what, the league today is 10, 20 times way more skilled and talented than it was 20 years ago. Guys who played in the early 2000s, mid 90s and 80s and 70s and so on. That's for a fact. You got centers out now. Who would have thought in 1990 a center is out bringing the ball up court, crossing over point guards, defending wing guys, and shooting threes like it's nothing? That's unimaginable. That's just the evolution of the game and what it has taken to. So you got to give credit to today's generation. And we're gonna say like, well, I didn't mind JJ Redick. I was a little disrespectful because you always have to pay homage, but in that point, it's like I didn't mind him taking a shot because you always have the old timers taking a shot at today's generations. And for the most part, you see guys who are in the greats like top 75, Steph Curry, LeBron, KD, I can name on and on, who would say, hey, we wouldn't be here if it was not, without those guys saying now unified nation for us. But there's a little bit of old man grumpy hate. Like Shaq is upset because Rudy Gobert is making $250+ million and he came nowhere near to his numbers. But Shaq, you made a lot of money in your time, but that's just the name of the game now with everything being, prices of TV revenues and tickets going up. The players are going to profit from that. You would just don't be mad at Rudy Gobert for being born in the right time. I mean, you're going to be mad at his parents for deciding to conceive him at a later stage in his life than you. Like that's where I have a problem. Is like, okay, older guys who played the league, who are most of them now on television commentating about this, can say the league is soft, which they have a right to. But it's like when a guy who's currently playing or recently playing, like JJ Redick in situation, says, well, okay, you can say the league is soft, but you couldn't even touch our players skills-wise in today's game. They're correct. So,
yeah, but I don't agree with the way you're framing this, bro, because we're talking about best of all time. When he was saying CP3, best top 5 point guards, he was talking about of all time. So we can't exclude, you know what I mean?
No,
from the beginning to now.
No. I'm not excluding. I'm talking about, well, if they're always taking a shot at the players who are playing in this generation, why can't the players take a shot back at them? Like you always see players who are now in media always criticizing the league is soft. The players are so soft. I don't like it. I don't watch it. There's this guy I work with. He's like, oh, I can't watch basketball now because it's too soft. I'm like, okay, then don't watch it. Every day I see him. Oh, I didn't watch the game last night. It's too soft. I'm like, dude, you tell me the same thing 20 times a day. If you don't like it, don't watch. And I'm like, you're making it seem like it's the player's fault because the league has gotten soft. You have an issue with the softness, go write a letter to the front office, go write a letter to Adam Silver, be like, yo, put these rules back in place because the players, they just played. It's like, that ain't got nothing to do with us.
So
That's
we're
the
not
league.
talking about best of all time. We're just talking about that whole old man grumpy.
I feel like, yeah.
League is all right, because that's how I responded was based on Reddick saying, the argument about CP3 being one of the top 5 of all time. He's not, nor would he say he is. You know what I mean? Of all time point guard.
No. Point guards. So you don't think Chris Paul's a top 5 point guard? He didn't say all time.
Magic Johnson, Bob Cousy. No, I can't. Yeah, I can't agree with that. Neither would CP3. I'm pretty sure. You know what I mean?
Really?
That's a lot of point guards, man.
I just feel like
some from today are better than CP3. Like you're confused because Steph Curry's better than CP3. I mean,
I just feel like the maybe it was the semantics, the words that JJ used to basically kind of diminish the accomplishments of the players that Bob Cousy, played against and played with. That was so ridiculous. It's like, it's one thing to say, well, I don't think Bob Cousy is this or that compared to this person of today, but to say he played against or with plumbers and firemen is to completely overlook the rest of those players that Bob Cousy mentioned, and that's I think that's where they really went off the rails. If that's where he, because that's just ridiculous.
Because he was angry about the same thing that Wells was just expressing. Because the old timers do say a lot of times that new generation is soft and the game is different. The game is different. That's it. Get over it. You know what I mean? So that's one argument, though. If it's old versus new, that's always going to be the case. Like,
but to me, it's like saying,
really reconcile that.
I just feel like if you're saying, oh, these players, you're comparing some of these professional ball players from way back when to blue collar workers, like with civil servants and everything, firemen and plumbers and everything. I think you're kind of saying that they had no skill set at all to be on the basketball court. That's how I see it. That's how I hear that. And I just think that's the wrong way to go about it, because I don't think these quote unquote grumpy old timers are saying that the players of today are not deserving of being on the court or playing ball. You know what I mean? I don't think they're calling them, oh, they're better off being a civil servant. They're better off
working for you.
What I mean? I don't think they're saying that. So I mean, I just think that was like way off base to use that expression or whatever he wants to call it.
I think it's off base to say of all time. I think that's kind of silly anyway. You know what I mean? Just on the face of it. Like, CP3, is he one of the top 5 point guards the last 20 years? Yeah. You know what I mean? But of all time, that's a long time.
Yeah, that's a long time.
That's where I take issue at it. I don't have an issue on that. The old school NBA was just different than it is now. And that's it. I don't really prefer one game over the other. But I mean, when you start talking about of all time,
it's impossible to compare because everybody plays, eras are different, and there's no way you can match these players up from 50 years ago to today. It's just not
including like, because like stat lines were different. I mean, they were playing like 160-point games back in the day. You know what I mean? Like they almost didn't play any defense. Everybody was doing cone defense back.
There was no 3-point line.
There
was a whole lot. There was no shot clock at a certain point. I mean, come on now.
But then the newer generation of players have challenges that they didn't have back in the day. You know what I mean? Like you say, you can't play defense now. You know what I mean? Like you can't. Everything is a foul. Ironically, everything's a foul call, and they did it all in the name of speed in the game,
which then slows the game down because they have to review everything.
Exactly.
They're checking every 5 seconds for a foul. I'm just
plus one thing I really feel bad about for the new generation of NBA players, like sports athletes in general, they exist in such. I was just joking about the Jimmy Butler thing. You know what I mean? But the truth of the matter is, they didn't have social media. And the minute somebody makes a mistake in the leagues nowadays, it's all over the place.
Right.
In 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like they didn't have that kind of scrutiny back in the day. So they really, in a way, they really can't criticize.
Mhm.
This game is totally different than it was then.
Yeah.
So it's like, again, it's like apples to oranges. Like, why are we talking about of all time? Like, say before 1980, this guy's the best. After 1980,
Right.
this guy's the, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's a long stretch of time, man. It's a totally different game.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I just think that the whole I see where JJ was coming from. I do agree it was disrespectful because you always have to pay homage to the players before. But I see where he's coming from. He's like, listen, you guys have always been taking a shot at us. This is me taking a shot at you guys. Because how dare you say, well, you're soft and this, this is soft and this and that. Well, if you were playing in today's time, you couldn't stand toe to toe with those players. But I don't like to compare eras because rules are different, times are different, everything.
Yeah.
The game, how it is now in 2022 is going to be completely different in 2032. That's just how it is. Every year, there's always some new rules that the NBA incorporates or they take something out. So I don't really like the comparison because it's just like you'll never really know. That's like something you'll find maybe you do a 2K matchup and to see, but you'll never really know. Same thing with the whole LeBron MJ comparisons. Oh, could LeBron play back in the 90s where they were allowing hardcore fouls? Or will MJ be able to score average 40 points in today's game because there's no hand checking? Dude, come on now. We won't know. It's good because it gives us something to talk about.
Yeah.
But let's be realistic.
Yeah.
We're not gonna find out. Let's just like cut it out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
I agree though with you, Worlds. I mean, as surprising as it sounds, because I feel like I'm here to disagree with you all the time, but I agree. I think that just like we should play homage to, you know what I mean, the old school. I think that if you're done with the game, sitting here and just criticizing these new, generations when you don't know what they're actually dealing with.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's a little out of pocket. It gets old, but that's the media hyping this up, though.
Right.
I mean,
We're
like,
talking about
yeah, we're talking about
we the media.
which I'm sure is what JJ wants.
Yeah. But I think, everybody, we should show respect. But I mean, this ain't that kind of world. We know that, like everybody wants that drama. That's what they're gonna tune in to see.
Yeah. And to your point too, like social media has played a huge factor because you mentioned it, Kane. Think about it. Back then, they had no cell phones; they had pay phones.
Yeah.
So if you had a bad game, you would have to wait till the next day to read about it in the front news of the paper. Nowadays, players go back into the locker room. They got iPhones, and their phones is blowing up with notifications and people on Twitter saying mean things about them, hateful Instagram comments, and they got to deal with that for like a long time. He's just like, bro. Some of those players, they be like, yeah, I get death threats after a bad game. It's like, are you kidding me? So it's mentally, it's more mentally tougher because of the social media aspect in today's generation, I would say.
Yeah.
But that's technology for you, both good and bad.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
That is for sure, man.
Yep.
I agree with that.
Yep. All right, guys. That is it for another episode of Hoops All In. As always, World is Francois, Kyle Anthony, Kane Legacy. This episode of Hoops All In has been sponsored by XLF, Exceptional Life Fitness. Go check them out on Instagram at exceptional_life_fitness. Also has been produced by Rain Multimedia. Check them out on social media, Rain Multimedia on Instagram, Rain MM on Twitter, and subscribe to their YouTube channel, Rain Multimedia as well. And as always, broadcasting rights to Worlds TV, yours truly. Follow the channel on YouTube at Worlds TV. Follow the channel as well on Instagram, Worlds TV. Same thing with Twitter at Worlds TV. And follow the show too on Instagram, Twitter at Worlds TV. At Hoops All In, my bad. And man, we gotta get those podcast numbers up. So guys, we on Spotify, we on Apple Podcasts, we on Anchor. Listen, download, tell your friends, share it, all that good stuff. I know you guys like to listen to three dudes talk about basketball. So get those subscribe numbers up, download the show. It's free. We don't ask for nothing. Okay. XLF is paying us to be here. Sponsor, I'm just playing. But yeah, download the show. Download the show. Watch it on YouTube. Subscribe to all the channels I mentioned. As again, World is Francois, Kyle Anthony, Kane Legacy. We will see you guys next time. Stay tuned for the next episode of Hoops All In. Peace.
Peace. Bye.